My beloved child. It's strange how a house can feel both so full and so empty in the same breath. One moment, it echoes with laughter, footsteps, stories, and hugs, and the next, it holds only the ticking of a clock and the creak of a chair pulled back into place. You smile. You serve. You soak in every second when they're here. And then, just like that, the visit is over. The hugs are quick. The car doors close. And you stand at the window, watching the tail lights disappear, trying not to let the silence that returns feel so loud. You walk back into the kitchen, dishes stacked from the night before. A half-eaten pie no one had room for. Napkins still neatly folded where no one sat. You stand for a moment, still tasting the joy, but also sensing how quickly it faded. You tell yourself you're lucky. At least they came. You remind yourself that they have lives, responsibilities, families of their own. But deep down, you ache. Not because they didn't come, but because they always leave. And every time they go, they take a part of your heart with them. And no matter how many times it happens, it never gets easier. You smile on the outside, but your soul whispers, they visited the house. But did they see me? But I saw you. I see you now. Not just when the house is full, but when it's emptied out again. I see the way you keep things tidy, just in case someone drops by. I see the way you linger in doorways, hoping someone might call out your name. I see the way you pretend you're fine, while inside you carry a quiet longing too deep for words. My beloved, the world may only show up on holidays, but I never left. When the laughter fades and the door closes, I remain, not on the porch, but in the very center of your waiting heart. What if this rhythm of coming and going, of presence and absence, wasn't meant to punish you, but to awaken something sacred? What if the ache you feel isn't just emptiness, but an invitation to recognize that I am not a guest in your life, I am your home. I don't visit, I dwell. And when the crowd leaves, it's not the end of something, it's the beginning of where we meet more honestly, more intimately, more completely. So let me ask you, what do you believe the silence means? That you are forgotten? That your best years are behind you? That love is something you only get to taste in passing? Or is it possible that in the silence, I am saying, now it's just us. Now I can speak to you without distraction. Would you let yourself believe that the silence is not abandonment, but sacred space? Today, I invite you to mark the transition. After the goodbye hugs, after the dishes are washed, before you settle into the ache, pause. Go to the place where you usually sit. Light a candle. Say nothing for a moment. And then whisper, Lord, I know you stayed. Let those 5 words open the door to my peace. Let it change how you see what's left behind, not as leftovers, but as signs that love was shared, and that more is coming. You don't have to pretend you're okay with the leaving. You just need to remember who never leaves. Let's sit in this quiet together, and gently, we'll begin to turn your waiting into something holy. My beloved child, isn't it strange how time moves differently depending on who's waiting for them? The visit is short. A few hours. A weekend. A holiday. They arrive smiling, arms full of gifts or laundry or stories from their world, and they leave just as quickly. Their minds already back to work, to errands, to the lives they're returning to. But for you, the waiting starts long before they ever knock on the door. And it doesn't end when they leave. It deepens. You spend days preparing, planning meals they like, dusting corners no one will notice, re-washing clean towels just to make sure everything smells fresh. You rehearse what you'll say, how you'll listen, what not to bring up. You wake up early on the day they're due to arrive, full of quiet anticipation, checking the clock more often than usual. And then, they come. And it's beautiful, loud, messy, full of life. But almost as soon as it begins, it ends. They check the time. They pack the car. You smile through the goodbye, pretending to be content. But inside you whisper, I waited weeks for a weekend, but I know. I see the way your heart waits differently. Not just for their presence, but for their attention. They're noticing. They're lingering. They're asking you more than just how have you been, but truly meaning it. I see that you're not just waiting for them to visit your home, you're waiting for them to visit your heart. And beloved, I want you to know, even when they don't stay long enough to see all you've prepared, I stay long enough to see all you've poured out. You measure your time in longing. They measure theirs in minutes. But I measure everything in love. And in my eyes, there is no unnoticed gesture, no wasted hope, no unseen table setting. I am not a God who visits out of obligation. I dwell with joy. I sit with intention. And I never leave in a rush. So let me ask you gently, what if the ache you feel isn't proof that they love you less, but that your soul is craving a kind of presence they can't fully give? What if your waiting isn't for them alone, but for me to show you that no visit is ever short when it's with the one who lives in eternity? Today, I invite you to shift the measure of your joy. Instead of counting down the hours until they come, count the moments we're already having together. Light a candle when they leave, not to mourn their absence, but to mark my staying. Say this small prayer, Lord, I waited for them, but now I wait with you. Let your spirit breathe. Let the disappointment soften. Let your waiting turn into worship, because I'm not watching the clock. I'm watching over you. And while they come and go with the seasons, my presence has no expiration. This is how we begin to transform your calendar, from one that counts holidays, to one that honors holy days, every day. My beloved child, you keep telling yourself to be grateful, and you are. You truly are. You know people who haven't seen their children in years. You know some never get visits at all. So when yours come, even just for a weekend, you smile and say, I'm lucky. You say it out loud. You try to believe it. But deep inside, there's another voice. Softer, more honest, that whispers, but why does it still hurt? Because it does hurt. Not because you're ungrateful, but because love doesn't just want to be remembered once in a while, it longs to be known, to be present, to be shared often. And your love? It was never part-time. You were there for all of it, the scraped knees, the sleepless nights, the lunchboxes packed with notes, the tears you caught before they fell, You gave a kind of love that didn't clock out. So it's hard now to learn how to receive it in small pieces, like it's something seasonal, something occasional. You watch them walk through the door and your whole world lights up. And you treasure every second. But later, when the bags are packed and the hugs are quick, your soul deflates, not because they didn't come, but because they didn't stay. You tell yourself not to ask for too much. You say, at least they're doing well. That should be enough. But your heart still aches. Because what it longs for isn't just the sound of their voices. It's the feeling of being needed again, included again, central again. And child, I see this ache, not as weakness, but as tenderness. I do not shame you for it. I do not tell you to get over it or move on. I meet you right there. Because I too know what it's like to love and be forgotten. To give everything and still be put off to the side. But I never turned away. I kept loving. And I keep loving you, completely. Continuously. Not just on holidays. So let me ask you something you may not have dared to speak. When did you decide that less was all you deserved? When did you begin to train your heart to expect just enough to keep it from breaking, but not enough to make it feel full? I didn't design you for half love, for scraps of connection. I made you for presence, mine. And yes, theirs too. And even when they cannot give it fully, I still can, today. I want you to do something quiet, but brave. Write down what you wish they knew. Not to send. Not to share. Just for you, and me. Say what you can't say out loud. I miss you more than you know. Sometimes I feel forgotten. I just wanted to feel like I still matter to you. Then fold that note and place it near your Bible. Or on your bedside table. Let it be your offering. Let it be your truth, because I already know. I've read the letter written on your heart long before you ever put it into words. And I do not look away. I draw nearer. I sit longer. I listen deeper. You don't have to choose between gratitude and grief. You can hold both. You can say, I'm thankful. And I'm hurting. And I will meet you in the space between the two, where honesty becomes healing. My beloved child, there's something painfully tender about the day after they leave. The house feels quieter than before they arrived, not just because it's empty, but because your heart remembers how full it just was. You stand in the kitchen and the smell of the meal still lingers. A crumpled napkin lies where someone sat. A sock is left behind on the couch. It's these little things that pull on your soul. They are traces of presence. And reminders of absence. You find yourself walking slower. You tidy up with care. But more for distraction than for order. You tell yourself not to cry, and sometimes you don't, but there's a dull weight in your chest. A silence that hums like a low wind through the halls. It's not dramatic. It's not loud. It's just there. And deep down, you whisper something only I hear. I wish they could have stayed just one more day. But listen, my child, when they left, I did not. When the hugs ended and the door closed, I stayed. When the couch got quiet and the laughter stopped echoing off the walls, I remained. Not out of duty. Not just because I'm always around. But because I love being with you. Not on schedule. Not in spurts. But constantly. Consistently. tenderly, what if this sacred quiet wasn't empty space, but holy space? What if this is when I draw closest? Not to replace what you miss, but to remind you that you've never been without love. They are your children, but you are mine. They came and went, but I remain. So let me ask you now, have you been so focused on who left the room, that you've missed who stayed behind with you? Have you been so consumed by absence, that you've forgotten to recognize presence? Not the kind that comes with footsteps and voices, but the kind that comes with peace, with steadiness, with a love that doesn't need a holiday to arrive. Today, pause before you fold the laundry, before you put away the dishes they left behind. Sit down for just 5 minutes in the room where you last felt the warmth. Close your eyes and whisper, Lord, I know you're still here. That's all. You don't have to force a prayer. You don't have to fake a smile. Just sit with me, and let the truth settle when they're gone. I'm still here, because I'm not a God who pops in on special occasions. I'm the one who abides, who lingers, who listens when no one else is calling, who stays when everyone else is leaving. You've shared your table. You've opened your door. You've given your heart over and over. Now let me be the one to fill it again, not just with memories, but with my presence. This quiet you fear may be the most sacred place you've ever entered. And I'm already sitting in it, waiting to be known. My beloved child, you've spent so much of your life waiting by doors, listening for keys, watching the driveway, wondering if this will be the day someone unexpectedly shows up. You've waited by the phone, waited by the calendar, waited with hope that maybe this time the visit would last a little longer, the conversation would go a little deeper, the goodbye wouldn't feel so soon. And through it all, your heart has stayed faithful in its waiting. But now, I want to show you something new. You don't have to wait by the window anymore. You don't have to keep rehearsing what you'll say next time, or folding your longing into quiet sighs. Instead, come meet me, not as a substitute, but as the one who was waiting for you all along. There's a table in your home, and it still remembers the joy of family, but it can also become the place where something even more lasting happens: communion. No candles or ceremony required. Just presence. Just attention. Just the daily decision to make room for me in the same way you've always made room for others. So what if tomorrow morning, instead of waking with that familiar ache of missing someone, you walked straight to that table and lit a candle, not for memory, but for invitation? What if you opened the Bible, not to study, but to sit, not to perform, but to let your heart say, Lord, this seat is for you, and I am here. What if you let the rhythm of tea steeping, bread breaking, or soup warming become your new call to worship? Let me ask you something brave now. Will you let your waiting become a holy habit? Not the kind that hopes someone might arrive, but the kind that knows I already have. Will you shift the weight of your longing into a rhythm of intimacy, not based on who may come, but based on the truth that I never left today? Choose one meal, breakfast, lunch, or dinner, and make it sacred. Don't wait for a visitor. Set the table for two, you and me. Don't say much. Just sit. Just breathe. Read one verse. maybe from John 14, where I say, I will not leave you comfortless, I will come to you. Then whisper back, Lord, I'm here too. Let this small moment become your altar. Not once a year. Not only on birthdays or Christmas. But every day. Let it teach your heart a new kind of expectation, not in the coming and going of others, but in the steadfastness of the one who always draws near. Because this kind of table doesn't just fill the stomach, it feeds the soul. And the love served here doesn't depend on how long someone stays. It flows from the truth that you are always seen, always welcome, always wanted. And tomorrow? When your heart wakes up still waiting, don't go to the window. Come to the table. I'll be there. As I've always been, not with apologies, but with open arms. My beloved child, for so long you've been the one waiting, by the door, by the phone, by the memory of laughter that used to echo through this house. You've known the ache of a heart that stays open while others move on. You've been faithful in your love, even when that love was returned only in pieces, in holidays, in short visits. But now I want to say something you may have never considered. You are not just the one who waits. You are the one I've been waiting for. You see, while your heart has been longing to be seen, mine has been longing to be welcomed. While you set the table and hoped they would stay, I stood at the edge of your every moment, hoping you would turn and say, sit with me, Lord. I have waited beside your sighs, in the pauses between sentences, in the silence after their cars pulled away. I waited not because I had nowhere else to go, but because you are where I want to be. You've been faithful in your waiting, now let me be faithful in my arrival. I don't visit on occasion. I don't come only when summoned. I dwell. I remain. And I've been here, whispering through every ordinary day. I'm not waiting for holidays. I'm waiting for you. What if the ache in your heart wasn't a weakness, but a doorway? What if every pang of longing is a gentle reminder that you were created not just to be loved by others, but to be loved first by me? What if your deepest desire, to be known, remembered, wanted, is actually my voice inside you, calling you back to the only presence that never fades? So let me ask you now, with tenderness, will you stop waiting for them to fill what only I can satisfy? Will you trust that my love is not seasonal, not distracted, not in a hurry? Will you dare to believe that even if no one knocks on your door today, heaven already has today? I ask for one thing, open your heart again, not just as a place of memory, but as a place of meeting. Find a quiet space, and say aloud, Lord, I didn't know you were waiting for me too, but now I do, and I'm here. Let that be your prayer. Let that be your arrival. Let that be the end of waiting, and the beginning of communion, because you are not forgotten. You are not an afterthought. You are the one I've loved since the beginning. And every day, not just the special ones, I prepare a place for you at my table. You don't have to wait another year, another visit, another moment to feel chosen again. You already are. So come, beloved. Come and be filled. Come and be known. Come home, to me.